Welcome to episode 10 of Randall Vision. I am your host, Randall, and we're doing something different once again today. We're outside for the first time. A little concerned about the traffic in the background, but we'll see how this turns out. Hopefully it doesn't muffle me too much. All right, so what are we talking about today? There's been something on my mind that there's kind of three prongs I could be going with the channel at the moment, the top three directions. And as some recent episodes revealed, that I'm going through kind of a midlife crisis, and part of me feels it's important to document that during the process. But I don't think sharing all of it is very healthy. I think, if I do want to share more of it at a later point, it's going to be useful for me viewing what occurred through the value of hindsight. Speaking of things right on when they happen in the moment, it's kind of a distorted perspective. So I think I want to move away from that, even though there is the risk of missing documenting something, but I think I'm willing to, leave some things go. Another prong, a path that I could take with the channel is I have a list of about 50 topics that I could sit down and talk about for somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes on each. I'm sure some of them I could talk for hours, but those are plans for the future. Those are topics there that should be relatively evergreen, and if I lack inspiration, then I could discuss the things that I've noted to discuss. So the third current option is sticking with in the moment thoughts about philosophy, or whatever the original thanks Pink, she's leaning on the tripod. So what is my in the moment philosophical thoughts for right now? And just before deciding to get cleaned up and dressed to go to work, I was sitting around watching ContraPoints on YouTube. Her latest video is titled Envy, and I'm not here to discuss the contents of ContraPoints Envy. I only made it halfway through, and as I'm watching it, I'm just inspired by the ability to communicate philosophy to people in a practical manner in our current day and age. That for anyone who's doing that, because ContraPoints isn't the only person doing that, it's amazing. And I'm sitting there the first time through, and I'm like, I can't wait to watch this again, because I could already tell that all of the profundity and nuance, I'm not able to soak it all up in one session. And that's kind of how someone's onto something, when you haven't even gotten off the ride the first time. Oh, Pink, Jesus. Easy, girl, don't lean on the tripod. Let's try this again. So that's what am I drawing here? What's the inspiration? What did it illuminate in my mind? And as I was sitting there, I was thinking of the purpose of philosophy is I'd written this down. The knowledge provided by ContraPoints and the like is intellectual armor, or a level up to carry yourself more successfully in the world. And I feel like, it's a team sport to do that. That doing well at life is so complicated. One person can't I see, advice isn't the right word, But being a role model, showing people that there are positive higher ideals to aspire to, that a lot of the common knowledge that we were raised with, it was all real, but we were exposed to it at too young of a time in our life to wrap our heads around it. That, like, knowledge is power. When you're 7, that doesn't make sense to you. I'm 39 now. I get that knowledge is power, and, you know, as a little kid, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Is it true? Yeah, it's pretty true. But anyhow, I digress. So another couple quick notes. I started with the second part, but I'll backpedal to the first part. And this channel isn't about spoon feeding people answers on philosophy. This is my personal conclusions that I have drawn based upon reading philosophy, living my life, what, you know, the whole totality of experience. So what and or why is life? And it's just 2 bullet points. Is A, to figure out who you are, and B, to do the thing that you were meant to do. And you're not fully aware of what it is you were meant to do unless you know who you are. So, you know, it's kind of come to light in my personal life of why I'm so attracted to my wife, that she has taken the time to decide who she is, or to figure out who she is. Like, it's such a complicated process that using one sentence to describe what the process is insufficient. But she knows who she is, and I am someone who knows who I am. And she even relayed a story to me about how in her younger years people would ask her what she's looking for in a partner, and definitively and somewhat singularly she would state that she wants a man that knows who he is. That makes complete sense, and hearing that made it make complete sense why we were a couple. Anyhow, so that's what and why life is. And I started by starting to jot down a list of what is the self. And whenever I did that, I was like, oh, you're missing the question before. Like, you're not working off a solid ground here. So some exploratory questions to figure out who you are is, who are your role models? What is it that you do, like your actual, how you function in the world? What is it that you want to do? Like, what is the more ideal step compared to your reality? What is your desire to do better in your life? And a real important part of who you are is where and when you came from. That cultures are shifting. Cultures have always shifted. And knowing who you are is coming to terms with how you were raised, where you were raised, and when you were raised. Like the time thing, that's something that we don't acknowledge as much as we probably should. That each of our journeys began at a particular point in time, and they will end at a particular point in time. So it's important to come to terms with that. And that's part of, that's like what I'm going through right now, is that reconciliation of acknowledging what came before me, being optimistic about the future, And the only way that I could bring about the ideal optimistic future I think of or believe in is by conducting myself well in the present. That's all. That's our limited scope of power in this world, is our moments or actions in the moment, and otherwise nothing ever gets done. So that's the seesaw. You know, the past, the future, and our right now is holding that all together. So now that my teeter-totter's functioning again, instead of me driving it into the ground with a sledgehammer, it's interesting. I feel like I'm alive again. Before, whatever it was I was doing was not good or healthy, but I feel like I'm starting to take some of the first steps that I need to survive and thrive in this world. I'm going to cut it off there. Remember, you're a sovereign individual. Do what thou wilt.